Disney's first original in years. This is their new movie, Hexed. And to be honest, I'm as surprised as you are. After nothing in the pipeline but sequels since 2023, Walt Disney Animation Studios are actually producing an original film. Didn't think it could be done. After the double whammy that was Strange World and Wish, it felt as though they just wouldn't bother going back to that well. And yet here we are, with Disney's Hexed set for a release in November 2026, seemingly in the same slot that Zootopia 2 occupies this year. So I guess that's just their yearly routine. Now this was all announced at D23 this year, alongside all sorts of updates from Disney's Ice Age 6, Pixar's Incredibles 3, and indeed yet more of Toy Story 5. Each of these as well I'll be doing a dedicated video on sometime through this week, though I'm also still kind of recovering from a chest infection. You can probably hear it in my voice. But it'll get done, we'll get through them all. And now Hexed is the latest one of an actual original project and not a damn franchise being dug into the ground. And this November slot is actually a very trusted one for Disney Animation in general, as many of their releases from the original Frozen to Moana 2 have also gone into that slot and demonstrably done very well. You get that initial wind of its release in November, and then it's still in theaters to watch over the Christmas period. It's kind of a sweet spot. You can't really go wrong. Unless you are Strange World and Wish, of course, that also took that slot. It's also significant because that's actually where Frozen 3 was originally set to be, I'm pretty sure. But if the production problems of the second one are anything to go by, I'm not surprised to see that one being delayed further too. I just love that what was initially going to be an extreme animation year with Shrek 5, Ice Age 6, Super Mario Bros. 2, Spider-Verse 3, and Frozen 3, it's all just dissipated as each one's been delayed. And basically it's now just Toy Story 5 and Super Mario left. At this rate, we're now gonna just have the animation bubble just be 2027 instead. There'll be warned movies. You better be careful, as we've just learnt that the franchise juggernaut, the Garfield movie 2, is also coming out that year, so big competition there. Though it does actually remedy a big criticism that the 2026 release slate that we originally had was getting a little bit of flack for just this mass wave of franchise movies. And it did seem like a huge reminder of how little original content was actually being made. So really, the announcement of Disney's Hexed here is a semi-reassuring statement that originals are still coming out of the Mouse House, even if their track record's terrible and their writers aren't good anymore. Beyond the Pixar department doing Hoppers, which I still don't really care for at the moment, and people didn't care for Elio. And even just the title alone is interesting, as Hexed seems to follow that naming pattern also seen with Tangled and Frozen, which at least to me comes across as at least an attempt of a return to form. Of course, so far that's purely based on the marketing and branding at the minute. Though it does also make me think that it will be a musical because, my lord, the soundtracks of the big Disney musicals bring in that extra revenue. And Strange World is probably seen as all the worse for not having songs in it, whilst original musicals were kind of their biggest and best. It's what people come to proper Disney movies for, and they do need to showcase that kind of return to form. Otherwise, unlike the spiced up fairy tale adaptations we saw with Tangled and Frozen, being Rapunzel and the Snow Queen respectively, the premise doesn't initially present any connection to adaptations. The long un reads that this follows an awkward teenage boy and his type A mum, who discover that what makes him unusual might just be magical powers that will turn their lives and a secret world of magic upside down. Is it just me or is that description written kind of awkwardly? It doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. It just kind of reminds me of what I'd do when a teacher told me to mash a paragraph into one sentence. It just feels like that at the corporate level. Also, using type A mum as a description as well just feels modern coded and not done well. Just call her ambitious and organized, please. Anyway, beyond the quality of the description, it does sound like a decent plot for a movie. I mean, it also comes across as a non-orphan version of Harry Potter, right down to the secret world of magic, but this could be cool. I guess Disney have adapted fairy tales, and this could be an adaptation where they just haven't asked for permission. Could you imagine? The royalties just go to a witch who already has enough money anyway, so who cares? I'll be looking out for the points where they've gone over the kid's queer-coded qualities with an eraser, as Elio is still pretty fresh for me. But this could be interesting. And maybe Disney needed this time to get its story team back in order. I've definitely given them a hard time on having genuinely no original movies on the slate up to this point, and the ones they do make just not being written well at all. And I mean, they've deserved it, because otherwise they've just been commissioning sequels like a money printer. But also, clearly something has been missing from Disney's recent original efforts. Strange World was a great idea that ended up not as excellent as it really could have been, plus marketed really badly. And yes, the Bible Belt refusing to show their kids the gay character, that was a thing too. But I think it's deeper than such surface level arguments. And then with Wish, you just had what could have been an interesting world absolutely weighed down by poorly realized characters, awkwardly executed songs, expensive animation that tried so hard to balance Spider-Verse and Disney storybook influences that it just looked cheap, and had a mandated Disney reference fest intended to mark 100 years of company that just scarred it instead. And yes, if scarred it was a line in the movie, the writers would have definitely patted themselves on the back for a Lion King reference. That's how bad it got. And hey, we've recently done terribles on some mainline Disney movies, so check them out if you're interested on the side. We're going back to this. Hello there, thank you for making it to the halfway mark of this video. Come subscribe if you haven't already for more animated movie news. We're currently covering D23. There will be several others that are out there around this time. We've also got terribles on most Disney movies at this point, the actual terrible ones at least. And if we're lucky, next week my voice won't sound like this. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for making it halfway through. Let's get back to the second half of the video. What Hexed needs to really do to kick off this new wave of original Disney output is move away from the reference fest that Wish was infested with. Let's not have this kid be like, I once knew this girl who could channel magic through ice and snow. Like, let's not do that. Maybe they probably will do that, to be honest. But let's just hope we can get a solid, cohesive story out of the director of Moana 2 is doing this. Oh, man. I'm kidding. Let's just give the guy a shot on a movie that was actually designed to be a movie from the get-go this time. Interestingly, if you factor in the beginnings of Moana 2 as a series, both directors come from Disney Plus projects. You have the Moana 2 guy, Jason Han, joined by Josie Trinidad, who worked on Zootropolis Plus. I can't lie and say the Disney Plus CV fills me with confidence per se, but to be fair, Zootropolis Plus wasn't all that bad for what it was. I'll give these guys a shot. They're off of the Disney Animation core staff, and I'm sure they have something there. I mean, in the case of Josie, she's been at Disney since 2004. She's worked on the likes of Princess and the Frog, Tangled, and Wreck-It Ralph before her directorial debut on the Zootropolis series, so she knows her stuff when it comes to Disney, and she knows the good stuff too. Really, it just shows that these overnight new directors typically have been around for a while. Gosh, she waited 21 years before she could direct a movie. Fair play to her. And I hope this one is great just on story alone. As for Jason Han, he's also been in the Mouse House for a good while, with the original Zootropolis being one of his earlier credits. And again, I won't hold Moana 2 against him too much, as I kind of feel like he was very much messed around with when they switched the thing over to a movie. Like, that was not an easy task to carry out, regardless of the results. And based on the vague premise of this movie that we've heard so far, it is interesting to see more of the direction that Disney is going with, since though I get the vibes that it's kind of going for the Frozen Tangled vibe with a titling choice, it's interesting that it's, one, a male protagonist in that sense, whilst also leaning further into creating magic users for their protagonists. Moana, of course, being in a world of demigods and that kind of mythology behind it, and Elsa really pushing the boundaries for what a Disney princess archetype was at that time into one that has powers. So to have a world that is specifically focused on magic, you can see a clear trajectory where they're going with here, and it could open the door to a really interesting choice for them. I don't know. Something about this pings my interest. Whatever they have cooking, I'm sure this team has been assembled for a good reason, because I think Disney know that they need to have at least a critical hit with this one. Even a few years on, it's easy to forget just how humiliated Disney was by Wish. That was meant to be their definitive 100 years of Disney, and barely anyone saw it, and those who did thought it was undercooked at best. The company that once had absolute dominance of the animation industry now found itself in the shadow of Sony Animation of all studios. The bloody open season, guys? Emoji Movie? And now, with K-pop Demon Hunters currently having dominance over the world, it still is. If Hexed needs to showcase anything, it is that Disney is still capable of producing a solid animated movie. Is it gonna have the classic, the villain is not really villainous, they're just misunderstood archetype again? Who knows? I mean, all the green in the titling makes me feel like the protagonist is the villain. Like they're playing with the Maleficent story and making them the kind of protagonist vibes. What if an evil teenage boy has magic and tries to not be evil? It's very wicked, you know? And I mean, if we get another Wish, I think they will just fully lose their place in that conversation. This project is genuinely a really important movie for them. Not to mention, you can't have another Frozen or Moana IP if you're not creating IPs. It's the exact same place that they have Pixar at the moment. Only more concerning is Elio wasn't great, and I don't think Hoppers looks very good either. Leaving us just with 2 sequels that are pre-2004. And Coco. Don't forget they're making a Coco 2 as well. Gosh. But otherwise, that's crazy to think. I mean, the co-director of Hexed has only been around with Disney since 2004. The next Pixar sequels coming out are predating her employment as a veteran. So yeah, there's a lot of stakes on Hexed to prove that Disney is more than just a bunch of sequels in a trench coat. In my mind, that's what it already is. But it would be nice to see them actually produce a solid original movie for once. Is that really too much to ask? I think Encanto was the last time they really did that well, and we're like 4 movies away from that now. Anyway, next up is Zootropolis 2, which at the very least has a fighting chance to be good. That's gonna be how they need to do it anyway. Get the audiences back with this sequel that's actually good, and then double down the next year with a solid original movie as well. Do that, and we may very well see a return to health from Disney Animation, but we'll see. We'll see if they can actually pull that off. The alternative is we just get a Harry Potter rendition of Wish. Love that. For now, though, that's all I've got to say on the matter. My name's been Daz. Thank you very much for reaching the end of this video. Do tell me your thoughts on Disney's Hexed. It's a really hard word to say when you've got a slight groggle in your throat. Great for starting coughing fits that I keep cutting out of this video. Anyway, I'd love to hear all of your thoughts and more, and I shall see you all in a little bit. Cheerio.